The forest road was silent until Marcus saw her. A German shepherd, bloodied and trembling, collapsed 50 feet from his truck. What happened 3 days later would leave him speechless and change everything he thought he knew about loyalty. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning light sliced through the towering pines of the Cascade Mountains. Marcus Webb crouched behind his camera, lens trained on an eagle's nest perched impossibly high. His breath formed small clouds in the October air. The shutter clicked. Once, twice, 3 times. He was alone. He preferred it that way. At 38, Marcus had turned solitude into routine. 2 years had passed since Emma died. 2 years since the accident on Highway 20. 2 years since he'd felt anything close to whole. His cabin sat 7 miles from the nearest town. No neighbors within shouting distance. No reason to speak unless absolutely necessary. The isolation suited his work. Wildlife photography demanded patience, silence, the ability to disappear into the landscape. Marcus lowered the camera. The eagle had flown. He packed his gear slowly. Tripod collapsed. Lenses wrapped in microfiber cloth. Everything methodical. Everything controlled. Control was all he had left. The drive back followed the same logging road he'd taken for 3 years. Gravel crunched beneath the tires. Trees pressed close on both sides. He knew every turn, every pothole, every place where the road narrowed to almost nothing. His mind drifted as it always did. To Emma, to the plans they'd made, to the conversation that replayed endlessly in his memory. She'd wanted a dog, a big one, something to fill the silence of the cabin during his long shoots. He'd said no. Too much responsibility, too much commitment. After the winter project, he'd promised. After the exhibition, after everything settled down. But nothing ever settled down. And then she was gone. The cabin came into view through the trees. Log walls weathered gray. Green metal roof patched in 3 places. Smoke should have been rising from the chimney, but he'd let the fire die that morning. Coming home to warmth felt wrong somehow. Inside, dust gathered on surfaces he no longer bothered to clean. Emma's books still lined the shelves. Her coffee mug sat unwashed in the sink. Her jacket hung by the door. He hadn't moved anything, couldn't bring himself to. Marcus set his camera bag on the kitchen table, filled the kettle, struck a match for the stove. The routine played out the same way every day. Wake before dawn, drive to the shooting location, wait for light, capture what he could, return, eat something forgettable, edit photos until exhaustion forced sleep. He hadn't spoken to another person in 4 days, maybe 5. Time blurred when you stopped marking it. The kettle whistled. He poured water over instant coffee grounds. No ceremony, no enjoyment, just fuel. Through the window, the forest stretched endlessly. Somewhere out there life continued. Animals hunted. Birds nested. The world turned without requiring his participation. Emma used to say he disappeared into himself. That his silence wasn't peaceful, it was hiding. She'd been right. But knowing that didn't change anything. Marcus carried his coffee to the desk. 3 monitors glowed to life. Photographs from the morning filled the screens. The eagle in flight, wings spread wide, talons extended, magnificent and utterly alone. He understood that bird more than he cared to admit. His phone sat face down on the desk. He flipped it over. No messages, no missed calls. His editor had stopped checking in months ago. His few remaining friends had learned not to push. The light outside shifted from gold to amber. Afternoon bleeding into evening. He should eat, should light the fire, should do any number of things that constituted basic self-care. Instead, he stared at the photographs. Emma appeared in his peripheral vision sometimes. Not really. Just memory taking shape in empty doorways. The mind playing tricks when loneliness stretched too long. He'd see her reaching for a book, hear her humming in the kitchen, catch the scent of her shampoo in rooms she'd never enter again. The doctors called it complicated grief. Marcus called it Tuesday. His gaze drifted to the mantel above the cold fireplace. A single photograph sat there in a wooden frame. Their wedding day. Emma in a simple white dress. Marcus in a suit he'd never worn again. both of them laughing at something long forgotten. Beside it, an empty space. She'd wanted to put a photo of their future dog there, had already picked out the frame. Marcus closed his eyes, opened them. The coffee had gone cold in his hands. Tomorrow would be the same, and the day after, and the one after that. An endless string of identical mornings blurring into identical nights. This was his life now. This was what remained. He returned to the monitors, adjusted contrast on the eagle photo, tweaked the exposure, made it perfect because perfect was easier than real. Outside, the sun dropped behind the ridge. Shadows swallowed the clearing around the cabin. Night came early in the mountains. Always had, always would. Marcus didn't bother with lights. He knew this darkness well, had made peace with it. Or so he told himself during the long hours before sleep finally came. The next morning started like all the others. Marcus woke before dawn, made coffee, loaded his gear into the truck. The routine had become automatic, thoughtless, safe. He drove north this time, different location, same solitude. The logging road stretched ahead, rutted and narrow. Pine branches scraped the truck's sides. He'd driven this route dozens of times, knew every twist, every place where the road crumbled at the edges. Then he saw it. Blood, a trail of it, dark red against pale dirt, fresh enough to still glisten in the early light. Marcus slowed the truck. His photographer's eye tracked the pattern. Droplets leading off the road, into the brush, toward the ravine edge. He should keep driving, should mind his business, should stick to the plan. But something made him stop. Marcus killed the engine, stepped out into morning cold. The blood trail continued into the trees. Heavy drops, consistent spacing. Whatever left this was moving steadily, determined, or dying. He followed. 50 feet in, he found her. A German shepherd lay collapsed near the ravine's edge. Her tan and black coat was matted with dirt and dried blood. A deep gash ran across her left shoulder. Still bleeding, still fresh. She was trembling. Marcus froze. The dog's eyes tracked him immediately, alert, calculating. Not the glazed stare of a dying animal, something sharper, something aware. Her ribs showed through thin fur. How long had she been out here? Days? Weeks? He took a step closer. She didn't growl, didn't bare teeth, just watched. That white blaze on her chest stood out like a beacon, distinctive, deliberate, the kind of marking breeders called a trademark. Marcus knelt slowly, kept his hands visible. The dog's breathing was shallow, but steady. She was holding on, fighting. The gash looked wrong somehow. Too clean, too precise. Not the jagged tear of barbed wire or branches. This was a cut, surgical almost. He ran back to the truck, grabbed his emergency kit from behind the seat. Emma had insisted he carry it. Bandages, antiseptic, basic supplies for wilderness accidents. And the microchip scanner. She'd volunteered at the county shelter for years, made him keep the scanner in case they ever found a lost pet. He'd never used it, until now. Marcus returned to the dog. She hadn't moved. Her eyes followed his every motion, tracking, assessing. He opened the kit, pulled out the scanner, passed it over her neck, her shoulders, behind her ears. It beeped. A code flashed on the tiny screen, but not a normal one. Not the standard shelter registration. This was encrypted, alphanumeric, official-looking, K9 SAR 447. Marcus stared at the numbies. SAR, search and rescue. This wasn't a pet. The dog shifted slightly, tried to stand. Her legs buckled. She collapsed back down with a sound that wasn't quite a whine, more like frustration. He should call someone. Animal control, the sheriff. Someone official who knew how to handle this. Marcus pulled out his phone. No signal. Of course not. 7 miles from town, deep in the mountains. He was on his own. The dog's eyes locked on his again. Those weren't the eyes of a stray. They held something else. Purpose, intelligence, recognition, almost. She wasn't begging. She was asking. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. The first real feeling in months. It hurt. It felt like waking up. Emma's voice echoed in his memory. Animals choose us, Marcus. We don't choose them. He'd said no to her, to the dog she wanted, to the life she imagined. And then he'd lost the chance to say yes to anything ever again. Not this time. Marcus moved slowly, slid his arms under the dog's body. She was heavier than she looked, solid muscle beneath the visible ribs. She tensed but didn't resist. He lifted, carried her toward the truck, each step careful, each movement measured. The dog's head rested against his chest. He felt her heartbeat, strong, steady, refusing to quit. He laid her in the truck bed on a bed of blankets he kept for equipment. She settled immediately. No panic, no struggle, just acceptance. Marcus climbed into the driver's seat, started the engine. The dog sat perfectly still in the rearview mirror, not lying down, not pacing, just sitting, watching the road ahead through the rear window. He started driving. The logging road twisted back toward the highway. 15 minutes of rough terrain. The truck bounced over ruts, swayed around curves. The dog never lost her balance, never shifted position. She moved with the truck's motion, anticipated every turn before it happened. Marcus watched her in the mirror. Something wasn't right. No ordinary dog behaved like this. Not injured, not starving, not after being found collapsed in the woods. This was training, deep training, the kind that bypassed fear and pain. They reached the highway. Marcus turned toward home instead of town. The vet could wait an hour. First, he needed to stop the bleeding, clean the wound, make sure she survived the next few hours. The dog's eyes met his in the mirror, just for a second, long enough for Marcus to feel it. She'd been waiting, waiting for someone, waiting for him. The thought settled in his chest like a stone, heavy, unmovable, true. He pressed the accelerator. The truck picked up speed. The dog watched the road. Marcus watched the dog. Neither of them knew what came next. But for the first time in 2 years, Marcus felt something other than numbness. He felt responsible. He felt needed. He felt afraid of failing something that depended on him. He felt alive. The cabin appeared through the trees. Home, or what passed for it. Marcus parked, opened the tailgate. The dog stood immediately, steady now, stronger than she'd been 30 minutes ago. He helped her down. She limped but walked, head up, alert. Inside, Marcus cleared the kitchen. Hen table, laid out towels, filled a basin with warm water. The dog sat without being told, watched him work. He cleaned the wound carefully. The gash was deep but not life-threatening. No major blood vessels hit. Whoever cut her knew what they were doing, or knew what they were avoiding. The dog never flinched, never whimpered, just breathed steadily while he worked. Marcus found butterfly bandages, closed the wound as best he could, wrapped it in gauze. His hands remembered motions from years ago, from Emma's training, from nights when she'd bring home injured animals and teach him how to help. The dog licked his hand once, quick, deliberate. "Thank you," Marcus named her Freya. The name appeared in his mind fully formed, strong, ancient, right. She stayed. The first night she refused to enter his bedroom, simply planted herself outside the door. No amount of coaxing changed her mind. She'd chosen her position. Guard dog instincts ran deeper than exhaustion. Morning came with strange quietness. Marcus woke to find Freya sitting exactly where he'd left her. Same posture, same alertness, as if she hadn't slept at all. He made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, divided half onto a plate for her. She ate methodically, no gulping, no desperation, measured bites despite obvious hunger. The wound needed cleaning again. Marcus filled the sink with warm water. Freya walked over without prompting. Stood still while he worked. That's when he saw them. Scars, old ones, faint circular marks inside her ears, burns on her paw pads, healed but visible. The kind of damage that told stories Marcus didn't want to imagine. He ran his hand along her side, felt the ridge of another scar beneath the fur. Then another. This dog had history, dark history. Freya turned her head, met his eyes. Something unspoken passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Mutual recognition of damage survived. Marcus spent the morning researching. Typed the microchip code into every database he could find. Nothing. Just error messages. Access denied. Restricted information. Whatever Freya was, someone wanted her hidden. He tried basic commands. Sit, stay, come. She obeyed instantly. No hesitation. No learning curve. This wasn't a pet who'd picked up tricks. This was a working dog who'd been trained by professionals. Then, things got strange. That afternoon, Marcus sat editing photos. Freya lay by the fireplace, The cabin was silent except for keyboard clicks. Then she stood, walked to the door, stared at it. Marcus ignored her. Probably needed to go outside. She barked once, sharp, insistent. He looked up. She was staring at him now, not at the door, at him. Fine. He stood, walked toward the door. The earthquake hit 3 seconds later. Not major. A tremor. Enough to rattle dishes, enough to feel the floor shift. Lasted maybe 10 seconds, when it stopped. Marcus stared at Freya. She'd returned to her spot by the fireplace. Calm, unconcerned. Coincidence. Had to be. The next morning, Marcus woke in a cold sweat, chest tight, breathing shallow, panic attack. They'd started after Emma died. Unpredictable, uncontrollable. He fumbled for his medication. Nightstand drawer. Where was it? His vision tunneled, hands shook. Freya appeared beside the bed. She'd never entered the bedroom before. Never crossed that threshold. She jumped onto the nightstand, nosed open a drawer, grabbed the pill bottle in her teeth, dropped it on the bed. Marcus stared, his panic momentarily forgotten in sheer confusion. How did she know? How could she possibly know? He took the medication. Breathing slowed, heart rate dropped. The attack passed. Freya returned to the doorway, resumed her position, as if nothing unusual had happened. But something had. Something. Impossible. 2 days later, Jake Morrison showed up unannounced, Marcus's photographer colleague, the only person who still bothered to check in occasionally. Jake knocked, called out. Marcus opened the door. Freya was there instantly, positioned between them, not aggressive, just present, blocking access. Jake froze. When did you get a dog? Marcus stepped aside. Few days ago. Found her injured. Jake entered slowly. Freya tracked his every movement. Her eyes scanned the room. The windows, the door. Back to Jake. That's not a pet, man. Jake kept his distance. That's a working dog. See how she scans exits? That's tactical training. Marcus hadn't noticed, but now he saw it. Freya's gaze moved in patterns, methodical, assessing threats, calculating escape routes. Jake sat on the couch. Freya remained standing, watching. Where'd you really find her? Jake asked. Logging road, near the ravine. She was bleeding. You check for a chip? Marcus nodded. Encrypted code. Couldn't trace it. Jake pulled out his phone, typed something, frowned. K9 SAR 447. That's military-grade registration. Or federal. She's not just trained, she's government-trained. The words hung in the air. Government. Federal. This wasn't a lost pet. This was something else entirely. Jake left an hour later, promised to make some calls, see what he could find out. That night, Marcus tested something. He grabbed his keys, walked to the door, said nothing. Freya stood immediately, walked to the door, sat beside it, ready. He hadn't told her they were leaving, hadn't given any command. She just knew. Marcus tried something else, went to the kitchen, reached for the cabinet where he kept coffee. Before his hand touched the handle, Freya was there, nosing the cabinet open. He stepped back, tried a different cabinet. Same result. She anticipated. Every time, this wasn't training. This was something beyond training. Marcus sat on the floor. Freya approached, sat beside him, close enough to touch. He ran his hand over her head, felt the scars again, the evidence of whatever she'd endured. Who did this to you? The words came out barely above a whisper. Freya leaned into his touch, not seeking comfort, offering it. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. His mind raced with questions. Who trained her? Why was she abandoned? What was she running from? He got up, walked to the kitchen for water. Didn't turn on lights. Didn't need to. He knew this space in the dark. Freya followed, silent as a shadow. Marcus filled a glass, drank, stayed out the window at the forest beyond. Movement caught his eye. Far off, between the trees. Headlights maybe, or flashlights. Freya saw them too. Her body went rigid, ears forward. A low growl built in her chest. Not loud, just a vibration Marcus felt more than heard. The lights disappeared. Freya remained tense, watching, waiting. Marcus felt cold despite the warmth of the cabin. Someone was out there. Someone was looking. And somehow, Freya knew they'd come eventually. She'd been waiting for this, preparing. That's why she guarded the door. Why she stayed alert. Why she tracked every sound. She wasn't healing. She was getting ready. Marcus set down the glass. His hand trembled slightly. Not from panic this time. From something else. Fear. Real fear. The kind that came with actual danger. He looked at Freya. She looked back. In her eyes, he saw it clearly. Whatever was coming, she'd been expecting it. And now it was here. Morning brought no answers. Only more questions. Marcus made the decision over coffee. He needed to know what Freya was, what she'd been. A vet could provide answers that Google couldn't. Dr. Sarah Chen ran the only veterinary clinic within 30 miles. Small operation. Tion practical. No nonsense. Emma had volunteered there before the accident. Marcus loaded Freya into the truck. She jumped in without hesitation, sat in the passenger seat like she'd done it 1,000 times. The drive took 40 minutes. Freya watched the road the entire time, alert, focused. When other cars passed, her eyes tracked them until they disappeared. The clinic sat on the edge of town. White building, faded blue trim. A bell chimed when Marcus opened the door. Doctor. Chen looked up from paperwork. Her eyes widened slightly when she saw Freya. Marcus, it's been a long time. She stood, walked around the counter. And who's this? Found her 5 days ago. She was injured. I patched her up, but I need a professional opinion. Chen knelt, extended her hand slowly. Freya sniffed once, allowed the contact. Beautiful animal, German Shepherd. 4 years old, I'd estimate. Come on back. The examination room smelled of antiseptic and pet shampoo. Freya hopped onto the metal table without being lifted, stood perfectly still. Chen worked methodically, checked teeth, eyes, ears, ran her hands over Freya's body, paused at the scars. These aren't accident injuries. These are old burns, deliberate contact points. Her voice carried no emotion, just observation. And this shoulder wound, too clean for barbed wire. Someone cut her. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. Can you scan her chip? I got a code but couldn't trace it. Chen grabbed her scanner, passed it over Freya's shoulders. It beeped. She read the screen, frowned. Canine SAR 447, that's not a standard registration. She walked to her computer, typed, waited. Database shows retired. Do not rehome. Status decommissioned. What does that mean? Chen clicked through screens. She's registered to Cascade County Search and Rescue. Unit disbanded 8 months ago. Dogs were supposed to be transferred to approved handlers or retired to sanctuaries. She's not at a sanctuary. No, she's not. Chen Yu turned to Freya, continued the examination. Her hands moved to Freya's abdomen, pressed gently, paused, pressed again. Marcus, she's pregnant. The words took a moment to register. What? About 6 weeks along, maybe 7. Healthy pregnancy from what I can feel. She'll deliver in 2 to 3 weeks. Marcus stared at Freya, pregnant, alone, injured. Running from something. Chen's expression softened. Her muscle memory is intact. Watch. She stepped back, made a hand signal. Flat palm down, quick drop. Freya dropped to her belly instantly. Zero hesitation. Another signal. Circle motion. Freya spun, returned to position. Someone trained her for years. This level of response doesn't fade. She's not just search and rescue. She's elite level. Marcus felt the weight of it settling. This wasn't a stray. This was a professional, a specialist. And someone had thrown her away while she was pregnant. Can you find out who her handler was? Chen returned to the computer. Give me a minute. She typed, clicked, scrolled. Here, handler listed as Captain Tom Ridge, Cascade County Disaster Response Unit. Reassigned 10 months ago after unit disbanded. Where? Doesn't say, but there's a note. All canines from the unit were supposed to be accounted for. Freya's listed as transferred, but there's no destination. Marcus looked at Freya. She was watching him. Calm, patient, trusting. Someone lied on the paperwork. Chen nodded. Or someone took her before the transfer could happen. Marcus thanked Chen, paid the bill, led Freya back to the truck. His mind raced with implications. Elite training, disappeared records, pregnant and abandoned. This wasn't neglect. This was intentional. Back at the cabin, Marcus pulled out his laptop, searched for Tom Ridge, found. And him in 3 minutes. LinkedIn profile, current position, private security consultant, based in Seattle. Marcus called the number listed. It rang 4 times. Voicemail. He tried again an hour later. Same result. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus answered. Hello? Silence. Then a click. Then an automated message. This K9 unit is property of Federal Disaster Response Protocol. Report location immediately to the following number. A series of digits played. Then the line went dead. Marcus stared his phone. Federal. Not county, not state. Federal. Freya growled, low, barely audible. She was staring at the phone in his hand. He set it down. She stopped growling, but her body remained tense. You know that message, don't you? Marcus spoke quietly. You've heard it before. Freya's ears flicked. She walked to the window, stared out at the forest. Marcus joined her, scanned the trees, saw nothing unusual, but the feeling remained. The sensation of being watched. He closed the curtains, all of them, locked the doors, something he rarely bothered with. That night, Marcus couldn't eat. He sat at his desk, pulled up everything he could find about the Cascade County Disaster Response Unit. News articles, budget reports, photos. One image stopped him cold, a team photo. 12 handlers, 12 dogs, taken 18 months ago. Third from the left, a German Shepherd with a distinctive white blaze on her chest. And beside her, a man in uniform, Captain Tom Ridge. The caption read, Elite K9 Unit Saves Child from Earthquake Rubble. Marcus zoomed in. The dog was younger, leaner, but unmistakably Freya. He found another article, dated 10 months ago. Budget cuts force disbandment of Elite K9 program. Unit members reassigned. Dogs transferred to approved facilities. But Freya hadn't been transferred. She'd vanished. Marcus kept searching. Found a forum post from 7 months ago. Anonymous user, asking if anyone had seen a German Shepherd with SAR training, offering a reward, $20,000. The post had been deleted, but Google's cache still held it. $20,000 for a dog. That wasn't a lost pet reward. That was a bounty. Marcus felt sick. He looked at Freya. She'd curled up by the fireplace, resting, trusting. Someone wanted her back, badly, and they were willing to pay for it. His phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. We know you have the dog. Return her within 48 hours. No questions asked. Compensation provided. No signature. No details. Just a threat disguised as an offer. Marcus deleted the message, but the words remained burned in his mind. They knew. Somehow, they knew. He walked to Freya, knelt beside her. She opened her eyes, met his gaze. You're not going anywhere. The words came out firm, certain. I don't care who wants you. You're staying here. Freya's tail moved, just once. A small acknowledgement. Marcus stood, walked to the closet, pulled out something he hadn't touched in years, Emma's old camping gear, including the emergency flare gun. He checked it. Still loaded, still functional. He wasn't a fighter, wasn't trained, wasn't prepared for whatever might come. But he'd lost everything once. He wouldn't lose this, wouldn't lose Freya, not without a fight. The 48 hours passed in tense silence. Marcus barely slept. Every sound outside became a threat. Every shadow through the windows felt deliberate. Freya sensed it. She moved through the cabin differently now, checking corners, positioning herself near exits. Her training had fully awakened. The third night, everything changed. Marcus was editing photos at his desk. 10:30, dark outside. The generator hummed its usual rhythm. Freya lay by the door, resting, but alert. Then her head. Dee snapped up. Marcus looked at her. What is it? She stood, ears forward, completely still, listening to something he couldn't hear. Then he heard it too. Engines, multiple vehicles, far off but approaching. Marcus killed the desk lamp, moved to the window, peeked through the curtain. Headlights, 3 sets, coming up the access road. No reason for anyone to be out here. Not at this hour, not on his property. Freya moved beside him, a low rumble built in her chest, not a growl yet. A warning, the vehicles stopped 50 yards from the cabin. Doors opened, flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Marcus counted, 4 men, maybe 5. They weren't being subtle, heavy boots on gravel, voices, not loud enough to understand, but the tone was clear, organized, coordinated. A knock at the door, 3 sharp raps. Marcus didn't move, didn't respond. Another knock, harder this time. A voice called out, "We're here for the dog. Animal Recovery Services. We have authorization." Animal Recovery. At 10:30 at night, Marcus felt his pulse quicken. "Let me see your badges," he called back. Silence, then muffled conversation outside. "Open the door, sir. This doesn't need to be difficult." Freya's growl became audible. Her body shifted, weight balanced, ready. Marcus moved away from the door, grabbed his phone. No signal. They'd jammed it somehow. Or the remote location finally worked against him. The doorknob rattled. Someone testing it. "Sir, we can do this the easy way or the hard way." Marcus backed toward the bedroom. Freya stayed between him and the door, planted, immovable. The door exploded inward. Lock shattered. Wood splintered. 3 men rushed in. Tactical flashlights. Dark clothing. No badges visible. No official markings. The lead man spotted Freya immediately. "There. Don't let her move." One of them raised something. Marcus recognized the shape. Tranquilizer gun. "Wait." Marcus stepped forward. Hands up. "You can't just stay back." The leader's voice was cold, professional. "The dog is property. We're authorized to retrieve her." "Property? She's a living animal. She's worth $50,000, and you're harboring stolen goods." 50,000. The number hit Marcus like a fist. This wasn't about animal welfare. This was about money. The man with the tranquilizer gun aimed. Freya's muscles coiled. She wasn't looking at the gun. She was calculating angles, distance, threat assessment. Marcus saw it happening, saw the decision forming in her trained mind. "Don't shoot her, please. She's pregnant." The leader paused. "Pregnant?" 6 weeks. The vet confirmed it. The men exchanged glances, some unspoken communication. The tranquilizer gun lowered slightly. "Even better, we'll take her and the pups. More valuable that way." Marcus felt something break inside him. Not fear anymore. Rage, pure and clean and clarifying. "Get out of my house." The leader smiled. No warmth in it. Or what? Marcus didn't have an answer. He wasn't a fighter, wasn't armed beyond a flare gun in the other room, wasn't anything but a photographer who wanted to be left alone. But Freya was. The man raised the tranquilizer gun again, finger on the trigger. Freya moved. Not forward. Sideways. Impossibly fast. The dart missed by inches. Buried itself in the wall behind where she'd been standing. The room erupted. Freya didn't attack. Not yet. She repositioned. Put herself directly between Marcus and the 3 men. Her stance changed. Military. Precise. Every muscle visible beneath her coat. The growl that came from her chest didn't sound like a dog. It sounded like machinery, like something mechanical and unstoppable. The men hesitated. These weren't amateurs. They recognized what they were facing. "Acing. Easy now." The leader's voice had changed. Less confident, more cautious. "We don't want to hurt her." A second man pulled something from his belt. A catch pole. Long metal rod with a loop on the end, used for capturing aggressive animals. He moved forward slowly, professionally, keeping the pole between himself and Freya. Freya's eyes tracked him, didn't move, didn't react, just watched. The man lunged, fast, trying to loop her neck. Freya ducked. The pole passed over her head. She pivoted, grabbed the metal rod in her jaws, yanked. The man stumbled forward, off balance. Freya released the pole. He crashed into the coffee table. The third man rushed her from the side, tried to tackle. Wrong move. Freya shifted weight, turned, drove her shoulder into his midsection. He went down hard. Air exploded from his lungs. The leader pulled a baton, extended it with a snap of his wrist. "Enough. We're taking her. One way or another." He advanced. Marcus saw it unfold in slow motion. Saw the baton coming down toward Freya. Saw her coil to counter. Marcus grabbed the nearest thing. A camera tripod. Aluminum. Light but solid. He swung. The tripod connected with the leader's arm. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to deflect the baton. The leader spun. Fury in his eyes. Big mistake. He raised the baton again, aimed at Marcus this time. Freya exploded forward. No hesitation. No warning. Pure protective instinct. Her jaws snapped, inches from the man's wrist, forcing him to drop the baton or lose his hand. He dropped it. Freya didn't bite, didn't break skin, just demonstrated capacity, showed what she could do if she wanted. The message was clear. You can't win this. The leader backed toward the door. His men scrambled up, all 3 retreating now. This isn't over. That dog is worth too much. Someone will come for her. They left. Engines started. Vehicles backed down the access road. Taillights disappeared into the forest. Silence crashed down. Marcus stood shaking, adrenaline flooding his system. His hands trembled. His breath came in gasps. Freya walked to him, pressed against his leg, solid, real, alive. He sank to his knees, wrapped his arms around her neck, felt her warmth, her strength, her absolute certainty. "You saved me." The words came out broken. "I thought I saved you, but you saved me." Freya's tail moved, once, twice, then she pulled away. Walked to the destroyed door, sat, watching the darkness, still on guard, still protecting. Marcus grabbed his phone. Still no signal. They'd left the jammer running. Or something else was blocking communication. He was isolated, cut off, alone except for Freya. And someone out there wanted her badly enough to break into his home. Badly enough to threaten. Badly enough to come back. This wasn't over. The leader had been right about that. Marcus looked at the shattered door, at the broken furniture, at evidence of violence in his previously peaceful cabin. Everything had changed. There was no going back to numbness, no retreating into grief. Reality had crashed through his door. Literally. He had to decide. Give up Freya, or fight. There wasn't really a choice. Not anymore. Marcus spent the night barricading. He dragged furniture against the broken door, stacked firewood across the windows, made the cabin defensible with whatever materials he had. Freya watched. Didn't rest, didn't relax. She understood what was coming better than he did. Dawn broke gray and cold. Marcus hadn't slept. His phone still had no signal. The jammer was still active somewhere nearby. He was cut off completely. He needed help. Needed the sheriff. Needed someone official who could stop this. But getting to town meant leaving the cabin. Leaving. Ge meant exposure. Vulnerability. Marcus looked at Freya. She met his eyes. Steady. Calm. Ready for whatever came next. "We're going together." He said it out loud. Made it real. "I'm not leaving you here." He loaded his camera bag. Not for photography. For evidence. He'd document everything. The break-in. The threats. The men who'd come. They moved to the truck. Marcus checked the surroundings. The forest felt wrong. Too quiet. No birds. No wind. Just oppressive silence. Freya jumped into the passenger seat. Alert. Scanning. Marcus started the engine. Pulled onto the access road. 7 miles to the highway. Then another 15 to town. They made it 3 miles. A white van blocked the road. Parked sideways. Completely blocking passage. Marcus hit the brakes. The truck skidded to a stop 30 feet away. 4 men stepped out of the van. The same ones from last night. Plus 2 more. The leader walked forward. Hands visible. No weapons drawn yet. Marcus threw the truck in reverse. Spun the wheel. Another vehicle pulled up behind him. Black SUV. Boxing him in. Trapped. Freya's growl filled the cabin. Deep. Continuous. A sound that resonated in Marcus's chest. The leader stopped 10 feet away. "Get out of the truck. Leave the dog. Walk away. Last chance." Marcus's hands gripped the steering wheel. His mind raced. Options. Escape routes. Anything. Nothing came. He couldn't fight 6 men. Couldn't outrun them on foot. Couldn't drive through a van. Freya shifted in her seat. Her body language changed. Not defensive anymore. Offensive. Aggressive. Ready to engage. No. Marcus put his hand on her head. Not yet. The leader pulled a gun. Not a tranquilizer this time. Real weapon. Pointed at the ground, but visible. Unmistakable. "I don't want to hurt anyone, but that dog represents the significant investment. Get out. Now." Marcus looked at Freya. Saw intelligence in her eyes. Calculation. She was waiting for his signal. His decision. He couldn't let her fight. Couldn't risk her. Couldn't risk the puppies she carried. He reached for the door handle. Freya barked. Sharp. Commanding. A sound he'd never heard from her before. She was telling him to stop. To wait. Then he heard it. Distant but growing louder. Helicopter rotors. The men heard it too. They looked up. Confusion. Then concern. The helicopter appeared over the tree line. Black. No markings. Fast. It descended into the clearing beside the road, rotors whipping dust and debris. The noise was deafening. The side door opened. A man jumped out before it fully landed. Uniform. Official. Military bearing. He was older. 50 at least. Gray hair cut short. Authority in every movement. The leader with the gun lowered it. Stepped back. His crew scattered. Returned to their vehicles. The military man walked directly to Marcus's truck. Knocked on the window. Marcus rolled it down. Heart hammering. "Marcus Webb?" The man's voice cut through the rotor noise. Yes. Captain Tom Ridge, search and rescue. That's my dog you've got there. Marcus looked at Freya. She was staring at Ridge, recognition in her eyes. But she didn't move, didn't go to him. She was injured. I found her bleeding on a logging road. Ridge nodded. I know. I've been looking for her for 8 months. He glanced at the men near the van. And so have they, but for different reasons. They broke into my house, tried to take her. They're not animal recovery. They're traffickers, dogfighting rings. Military canines are valuable on the black market, especially ones with Freya's training. The name. Ridge knew her name, her real name. How did you find us? Your friend Jake Morrison. He called me yesterday. Told me you had a German Shepherd with a SAR code. I've been tracking that. That code since she vanished. Ridge looked at Freya again. Something crossed his face. Regret maybe. Pain. I thought she was dead. The helicopter pilot shouted something. Ridge nodded, looked back at Marcus. We need to move. Those men won't leave while in here. But they'll wait. They'll follow you if you try to go home. So what do I do? Come with me. Sheriff's station. We'll file reports, get restraining orders, make this official. Ridge paused. And I'll tell you everything about Freya. Everything you need to know. Marcus looked at the armed men, at their vehicles blocking escape, at the helicopter waiting. He didn't have a choice, not really. Okay. Ridge opened the truck door. Leave the truck. It's not safe. Come in the helicopter. Marcus hesitated, looked at Freya. She was watching Ridge, still hadn't approached him, still stayed close to Marcus. She won't come with you, Marcus said quietly. Ridge's expression tightened. She will. She knows me. Try it. Ridge stepped back, gave a hand signal, sharp downward motion, the same one Dr. Chen had used. Freya didn't move, didn't respond, just watched. Ridge tried another signal, circle motion. Come. Nothing. She's refusing orders. Ridge's voice carried disbelief. She never refused orders. Marcus climbed out of the truck, walked around to the passenger side, opened Freya's door. She jumped down, stood beside Marcus, not beside Ridge. The message was clear. She'd chosen. Ridge stared, processing, understanding. She's bonded to you, completely. That's rare. That level of attachment doesn't happen fast. She's pregnant, Marcus said. 6 weeks. Yvette confirmed it. Ridge went pale. Pregnant? That's not possible. She was never bred. We had strict protocols. Well, someone broke protocol, because she's carrying puppies. Ridge ran his hand over his face, looked away, looked back. That changes everything. If they know she's pregnant, they'll pay triple. Breeding stock from elite lines. The puppies alone are worth hundreds of thousands. Marcus felt sick. They're not things. They're lives. I know. That's why we need to move. Now. Ridge gestured to the helicopter. Please, trust me. I trained her. I know what she means, and I know what those men will do to get her. Marcus looked at Freya one more time. She leaned against his leg, warm, solid, trusting. He made the decision. Okay, we're coming. They walked to the helicopter. Marcus climbed in. Freya jumped up beside him, settled immediately despite the noise and chaos. Ridge climbed in last, signaled the pilot. The helicopter lifted. Below them, the men near the van watched. One raised a phone, making a call, reporting. Ridge saw it too, his jaw tightened. This isn't over. They'll follow us to town. They'll wait for another chance. Then what do? We make sure they never get one. Ridge looked at Freya. Something complicated in his expression. She was the best canine I ever worked with. Saved 23 lives in 4 years. And I failed her. Let her slip through the cracks when the unit disbanded. What happened? Politics, budget cuts. The unit was dissolved overnight. Dogs were supposed to be retired properly, adopted by approved handlers, but there wasn't enough oversight. Some disappeared. Some ended up in bad situations. Ridge's voice cracked slightly. Freya was supposed to go to a sanctuary, but someone altered the paperwork, sold her instead. To who? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Ridge met Marcus's eyes, and when I do, they'll answer for it. The helicopter banked toward town. Below, the forest stretched endlessly, beautiful and dangerous, and full of people who saw living things as commodities. Marcus held on to Freya, felt her breathing, steady, strong, alive. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. He'd made that promise, and he'd keep it, no matter what. The sheriff's station was small, functional, 2 holding cells, 3 desks, coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. Marcus sat in a plastic chair. Freya lay at his feet. She hadn't left his side since they landed. Captain Ridge stood near the window, watching the parking lot, watching for vehicles that didn't belong. Sheriff Dalton took statements, middle-aged, competent, skeptical until Ridge showed his credentials. This is federal jurisdiction, Ridge explained. Those men broke multiple laws: trafficking, breaking and entering, attempted theft of government property. The dog's government property? Dalton asked. Was. Technically she's retired, but her registration never transferred properly, which means legally she's still under federal protection. Marcus listened. Legal language, bureaucratic explanations. None of it changed the simple truth. Freya was a living being, not property, not an asset, a life. Ridge's phone rang. He answered, listened. His expression darkened. Understood. Thank you. He ended the call, looked at Marcus. That was my contact at Federal Canine Recovery. They traced the altered paperwork. Found who authorized Freya's transfer. Who? Deputy Director of the Disbandment Committee. Man named Gerald Voss. He's been under investigation for 6 months. Suspected of selling retired canines to private buyers. No proof until now. So arrest him. It's not that simple. He has connections, lawyers. He'll claim clerical errors, blame subordinates. It'll take months to build a case. Marcus felt anger rising. Meanwhile, those men are still out there, still hunting her. Yes, Ridge's voice was heavy, tired, which is why I need to ask you something difficult. Marcus waited. Ridge crossed the room, sat down across from Marcus. The federal program is restarting. New funding, new oversight. We're rebuilding the canine unit from the ground up. We need dogs like Freya, bloodlines like hers. Marcus's stomach dropped. He knew where this was going. We'd like to bring her back into the program, not active duty. She's pregnant. But after the puppies are born, we'd like to integrate them into training, raise them properly, make them into the next generation of search and rescue dogs. You want her puppies. I want them to have purpose, to save lives like their mother did. Ridge leaned forward. Dogs like Freya are rare. Her genetics, her temperament, her training retention. We could save hundreds of lives over the next decade if we do this right. Marcus looked down at Freya. She was watching him. Those intelligent eyes. That absolute trust. And Freya, what happens to her? She'd come with them, live at the training facility, have the best care available. Veterinary, nutrition, everything she needs. In a kennel? Ridge hesitated. In a professional facility. Yes. Surrounded by strangers, separated from her puppies as they're trained. Living in a system that already failed her once. That's not fair. The system didn't fail. People failed. And those people are being held accountable. Marcus stood, paced, his mind churned. Logic versus emotion. Practicality versus instinct. How long do I have to decide? The puppies will be born in 2 weeks. We'd need her at the facility before then. Controlled environment. Medical supervision. 2 weeks, 14 days. Then Freya would be gone. Back into a world that saw her as a resource. A tool. Valuable but ultimately replaceable. Marcus thought of Emma. Of the plans they'd made. The dog they'd never adopted. The family they'd never built. He thought of the last 2 weeks. Of Freya sleeping outside. Outside his door. Of her knowing when he needed help. Of her standing between him and danger without hesitation. He thought of the lights in the forest. The broken door. The men with tranquilizer guns. No. Ridge blinked. No? She's staying with me. The puppies are staying with me. We'll figure it out together. Marcus, think about what you're saying. Those men won't stop. They know where you live. They know what she's worth. You can't protect her alone. Then help me protect her. But I'm not giving her up. This isn't about giving her up. It's about doing what's best for her. Marcus felt something crack inside. Grief. Rage. 2 years of suppressed emotion breaking through. Best for her or best for your program? You want her genetics, her bloodline. You want to use her puppies the same way someone tried to use her. You're just being nicer about it. Ridge stood, his face flushed. That's not fair. I spent 4 years with Freyla. I know what she's capable of. I know what she deserves. Then you know she deserves to choose. To be more than a breeding animal, or a search tool, or a commodity. Marcus's voice shook. She came to me. She chose me, and I'm choosing her back. Silence filled the room. Sheriff Dalton watched from his desk, staying neutral, staying out of it. Ridge exhaled slowly, controlled, professional. You're making a mistake. Without federal protection, she's vulnerable. Those men will come back. And next time I might not arrive in time. Then I'll handle it. With what? A camera tripod? Ridge shook his head. You're a photographer, not a soldier, not a handler. You have no idea what you're up against. You're right, I don't. Marcus met Ridge's eyes. But I know what I'm not giving up. I already lost everything once. I'm not losing this. Ridge stared at him, processing, evaluating. Then something shifted in his expression. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. She means that much to you? Yes. Ridge walked to the window again, looked out at the parking lot, at the mountains beyond. Her mother's name was Rhea. She died in an earthquake rescue, collapsed building. She held a support beam in place while her handler pulled 3 people out. The beam gave way, crushed her. Marcus felt the weight of those words. Sacrifice, loyalty, love beyond survival instinct. Freya was born 6 weeks later, from stored genetic material. We knew Rhea was pregnant before the accident. We preserved what we could. Ridge's voice was quiet now, raw. I was Rhea's handler. I was the one she saved. Me and those 3 people. The room felt smaller suddenly, the confession hanging in the air. Freya has her mother's eyes, her mother's instincts. When I look at her, I see Rhea. I see everything I lost that day. Ridge turned, faced Marcus. I thought I was protecting her by putting her in the program, giving her purpose. But maybe I was just trying to fix what I couldn't save. Marcus didn't speak, didn't interrupt. This was Ridge's truth, his grief, his guilt. If you want to keep her, keep her. I won't fight you on it. Ridge pulled an envelope from his jacket, set it on the table. Transfer papers, signed, legal ownership. She's yours, officially. Marcus picked up the envelope, felt the weight of it. What about the men, the traffickers? I'll handle them. Federal investigation, arrest warrants. They won't bother you again. And Voss, the deputy director? He'll face charges. Might take time, but it'll happen. Ridge walked to the door, stopped, looked back at Freya. Take care of her, and her puppies. There's something special. I will. Ridge nodded once, left. The door closed behind him. Sheriff Dalton stood, stretched. You just turned down federal protection and a guaranteed safe environment. Environment, you know that, right? I know. And you're willing to risk your safety, your property, your peace of mind? I am. Dalton smiled slightly. Good, because that's what family does, and that dog, she's family now. Marcus looked down at Freya. She looked up at him. Her tail moved, just once, gentle acknowledgement. He opened the envelope, read the transfer papers, saw Ridge's signature, saw the official stamp. Freya was his, legally, completely. No one could take her, no one could claim her. He knelt, scratched behind her ears. You're home now, for real, no matter what. She leaned into his touch, trusting, content, safe. For the first time in 2 years, Marcus felt something other than grief. He felt purpose, responsibility, connection. He felt like maybe, just maybe, he could build something new, something worth protecting, something worth living for. 2 weeks later, everything changed again. Marcus had prepared as best he could. He'd read every book on canine pregnancy, watched every video, set up a whelping box in the warmest corner of the cabin. Clean blankets, soft lighting. Everything Freya might need. The traffickers never returned. Ridge had been true to his word. Federal agents made arrests. The news covered it briefly. Dog fighting ring dismantled. Several people facing charges. Marcus barely paid attention. His focus was singular. Freya. She'd grown noticeably larger. Her movements slowed. She slept more, but her eyes remained alert, watchful, trusting. The night it happened, Marcus knew immediately. 3 in the morning. Freya nudged his hand, persistent, urgent. He woke instantly. She walked to the whelping box, circled once, twice, lay down. Her breathing changed, faster, shallower. Marcus grabbed his phone, called Dr. Chen. She answered on the second ring. "It's starting," he said. "Okay, stay calm. I'll talk you through it. Put me on speaker." The next 4 hours blurred together, Chen's voice guiding him, Freya's strength astounding him. The first puppy arrived at 4:15. Tiny, perfect. Freya cleaned it immediately. Then the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. 6 puppies, 3 males, 3 females, all healthy, all breathing, all nursing within minutes. Marcus sat back against the wall, exhausted, amazed, watching Freya with her children. She licked each one methodically, checked them, nudged them toward warmth. Every movement deliberate, instinctive, perfect. "She's a natural," Chen said through the phone speaker. "You did good, Marcus. Get some rest. Call me if anything changes." He ended the call. But he didn't rest, couldn't look away. Freya glanced at him. Her eyes held something he'd never seen before. Pride, maybe, or gratitude, or simple joy at having brought life into the world safely. The sun rose slowly. Golden light filtered through the windows, illuminated the whelping box. Freya and her puppies, a small universe of warmth and new beginning. Marcus finally slept. 2 hours. Then Freya woke him again. Not urgently, just gently, her nose against his hand. He checked the puppies, all nursing, all moving, all perfect. The days that followed established new routine. Feeding every few hours, constant monitoring, watching for signs of distress. But Freya handled motherhood like she handled everything, with competence and grace. Marcus photographed then, couldn't help himself. The puppies growing, changing, opening their eyes, starting to move beyond crawling. 3 weeks passed. Then the morning that would define everything. Marcus woke to silence, too much silence. He sat up, looked at the whelping box, empty. Panic flooded him. He jumped up, searched the cabin, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. No Freya, no puppies. The front door was open. New, just slightly. Enough for a determined dog to nose through. Marcus grabbed his jacket, ran outside barefoot. The morning air bit cold. Then he saw her. Freya sat on the front porch, completely calm. Behind her, arranged in a perfect line, sat 6 puppies, wobbling slightly, confused, but sitting. Marcus stopped, stared, tried to process what he was seeing. Freya had carried them, one by one, from the whelping box, through the cabin, out the door, onto the porch, arranged them deliberately. She was looking at him, waiting, her tail wagging slowly. Marcus understood. She was showing him, introducing them, presenting her family. He walked forward slowly, knelt. The puppies tumbled toward him. Tiny paws, soft fur, squeaking sounds. He picked up the first one, the largest male, dark coloring, white blaze on his chest just like his mother. Freya's tail wagged faster. Permission granted, approval given. Marcus felt tears on his face. He wasn't sure when he'd started crying. Didn't matter. This moment was too big, too important, too full of meaning to contain. "Thank you," he whispered, "for trusting me, for choosing me, for this." Freya leaned against him, warm, solid, content. The other puppies climbed into his lap, over his legs, exploring, discovering, fearless because their mother was calm. Marcus sat on his porch, surrounded by new life, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope, simple and pure and real. The sun climbed higher, birds returned to the forest. The world continued its rotation. Over the next weeks, the puppies grew rapidly. Personalities emerged. The largest male was bold, first to explore, first to try new things. Marcus named him Ridge, a quiet acknowledgement of the man who'd let them go. The smallest female was cautious, thoughtful. She watched before acting. He named her Emma. The name felt right, felt like bringing his wife into this new chapter, letting her be part of the joy. Jake visited, brought supplies, stayed an hour watching the puppies play. You're really doing this, raising 6 German Shepherd puppies alone. 7 dogs, Marcus corrected. Freya too. Jake laughed. You're insane, you know that? Probably. But it didn't feel insane. It felt right. The cabin was loud now, full of life, full of chaos, full of purpose. 2 months after the birth, Captain Ridge returned, unannounced. Just appeared on the access road one afternoon. Marcus tensed. Freya positioned herself strategically, but Ridge raised his hands. Empty, non-threatening. I'm not here to take them, I promise. I just wanted to see them, if that's okay. Marcus considered, nodded. Okay. Ridge approached slowly. The puppies swarmed him immediately. Curious, fearless. He knelt, let them climb on him. His face softened. Years of professional distance melting away. They're beautiful, healthy, happy. Ridge looked up at Marcus, questioning. You did this right. Freya did it. I just helped. Ridge stood, reached into his jacket, pulled out a photograph, handed it to Marcus. It showed a German Shepherd, strong, proud, white blaze on her chest, standing beside a younger Ridge in uniform. That's Rhea, Freya's mother. I thought you should have this, so the puppies know where they came from. Marcus took the photo, studied it, saw the resemblance, the bearing, the intelligence in the eyes. Thank you, Ridge nodded, looked at Freya one more time. You're a good mother. Rhea would be proud. Freya's tail moved. Acknowledgement. Understanding. Ridge left. Drove away. Marcus never saw him again. But the photo stayed, on the mantle, next to Emma's picture. 2 families, 2 legacies, both part of something larger. 6 months passed. The puppies were half-grown now, rambunctious, energetic. Marcus trained them. Basic commands. Socialized them. Introduced them to the forest, to wildlife photography, to quiet mornings and peaceful evenings. One afternoon, Jake returned with news. You're viral. What? Jake pulled out his phone, showed Marcus a video. Security footage from the sheriff's station. Marcus and Freya entering. The puppies visible in later shots. Someone had leaked it. Added music. Made it emotional. The story had spread. Man saves pregnant canine. Refuses federal program. Raises puppies alone. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Media requests piling up. They want interviews. Want to film the puppies. Want to tell your story. Marcus looked at Freya. She was lying in a patch of sunlight. Peaceful. Content. Home. No. Marcus, this could be huge. Book deals, sponsorships. You could. No, this isn't a story. It's our life. And it's private. Jake studied him. Smiled. Yeah, I figured you'd say that. Just wanted to check. The attention faded eventually. People moved on to the next viral moment. But some things remained. A letter arrived from a search and rescue organization. They'd heard about the puppies. Wanted to offer training scholarships when they were old enough. No obligation, just opportunity. Marcus kept the letter. Maybe someday. Maybe when the puppies were grown and ready. If they wanted purpose beyond being loved. He'd let them choose. Just like Freya had chosen. 2 years after finding Freya on that logging road, Marcus stood on his porch at sunset. 7 dogs around him. Freya at his side. Her 6 puppies scattered across the clearing. Playing, exploring, living. The cabin wasn't silent anymore. Wasn't empty. Wasn't a monument to grief. It was loud. Messy. Full of life that demanded attention and gave love freely in return. Emma's photo still sat on the mantle, but now Rhea's photo sat beside it. And below them, a new photo. Marcus surrounded by 7 German Shepherds. All of them looking at the camera. All of them family. He'd thought he was saving a dog, but Freya had saved him first. Pulled him from isolation. Gave him purpose. Showed him that life after loss was possible. That love after grief could grow again. The puppies would grow up. Would eventually leave if they chose. Would find their own paths. But Freya would stay. Would grow old here. Would spend her remaining years in peace. Protected. Loved. Home. Marcus scratched behind her ears. She leaned into his touch. Her eyes closed. Completely content. We did it, he whispered. We built something good. She opened her eyes. Looked at him. Her tail wagged once. Slow, deliberate. Agreement. Pride. Love. The sun dropped below the ridge. Darkness came gradually. But the cabin glowed with warm light. With sounds of life. With proof that even the most broken people could heal. If they let themselves. If they accepted help. If they opened their hearts to creatures who asked for nothing but offered everything. Marcus called the dogs inside. fed them, settled them for the night. Freya took her place by his bedroom door. The puppies piled around her, a heap of fur and warmth and unconditional love. He turned off the lights, climbed into bed, listened to them breathing, to them dreaming, to them living. And for the first time in years, Marcus fell asleep without grief, without regret. Without wishing for the past, he fell asleep grateful, for second chances, for unexpected gifts, for a bleeding German shepherd on a forest road who'd changed everything. Sometimes heroes don't wear badges. Sometimes they walk on four paws. And sometimes they save us, without us ever realizing we needed saving. Is this story touched your heart? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, have you ever been saved by an animal?